takes a rest. Oh yeah. Sports, pop culture, wrestling too. We got it all with the very best.
Hello and welcome to the Ram Network and two shows, one cup here live on YouTube. Today we are going to be talking about the NFL draft that concluded. I'm Dollar Bill Dave at Dave in the RC. Joining me is Pondwater Dave at Ref Super Dave PWD on Twitter.
Hello,
And
hello.
the first lady of the Arn Anderson fan club, Amy at AmyRD_24. What's up, guys?
Oh, just enjoying a quiet Sunday. Had a big weekend. So, did wrestling yesterday, and it was a long trip. We didn't get home till 2:00 in the morning.
Oh,
That's going to be me on Thursday.
It was
Going to see Metallica and Limp Bizkit in Nashville with the neighbor. But he doesn't want to stay in Nashville after the show. He wants to drive up there, go to the concert, and then come back home.
I can't blame him for that. Cost a mortgage payment to stay in Nashville.
Dude, I'm like platinum in Marriott. I can get us rooms. But he's got to take his wife to the doctor first thing Friday morning, so he's coming on back. So, but that's all right. I'll get back, and I'm off Friday, so should be a pretty simple day.
Kind of enjoying watching the news, the draft news about. I think the bigger story is who didn't get drafted until late.
Well, I mean, that was, it kind of made me feel bad for all the guys that did get drafted.
Yeah.
Because it seemed like everybody became an afterthought because the whole NBA draft or the whole NFL draft was nothing about Shedeur Sanders.
mm-hmm.
Well, I think it's already, I don't know how you feel about it, but any management position I've been in, and somebody said, my mom wants to talk to you. Your mom doesn't work for me. My dad wants to talk to you. Your dad doesn't work for me. My wife said that your wife doesn't work for me. You work for me. I talk to you.
How much do you think that actually took in consideration for Shedeur and him going to the Browns so late in the draft of the concept of it's almost a package deal with Dion and him? How much do you think that really played into who decided to pass on them or who decided they wanted them?
Well, here's the deal. Most teams have got their quarterback situation pretty well summed up. Tightened up in the offseason.
Let's talk about it.
So there's not a lot of need for a quarterback in the draft this year anyway.
No, because you have the Titans who had the number one pick and took Cam Ward.
Mm-hmm.
So you have Cleveland, New York Jets, New York Giants, Pittsburgh Steelers. And then you start looking at, okay, Miami might be starting to play in there because of the head injuries with Tua. And then Oakland, are they going to ride with Geno Smith? But for how long? He's in his 30s. And then Seattle they just took Sam Darnold from Minnesota. And gave him a big contract. But is he going to be a one-year wonder or something else? And then you have the Saints who need it. So, there's only a fifth of the teams, if that, even need a quarterback. Because you think about last year's NFL draft, it was like, 7 of the first 8 picks or something. It was ridiculous. We're all quarterbacks. Teams that drafted quarterbacks in the first round last year are not drafting a quarterback. Then you have teams like Buffalo and Kansas City and Tampa, and they're set with quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
So there wasn't a huge need,
right?
But and obviously, I could say this: is Shedeur Sanders talented? Absolutely,
yes.
But I think his dad being Deion Sanders played a part in this because I think a lot of people don't want the Deion Sanders headache. And if you don't know what we're talking about, Deion Sanders will be all up in everything where his kids are.
Now,
And it
let
would
me-
shock me if Deion Sanders is in the running to be the next head coach at Cleveland.
yeah. Well, let me tell you with a little perspective. In high school football, Texas is it.
Mhm.
They have high schools that have bigger stadiums and bigger programs than most colleges. Southlake, Plano, Keller. I mean, it's so much more than what it used to be. Because it used to be Plano East, Odessa Permian. Now they build these monster stadiums. They have so much money in these programs. And I say all this to say, Shedeur Sanders played quarterback for a private school in Duncanville, Texas. If you are that good, Deion could buy a house in any of those school districts. His son could play on any of those big 5A, 6A programs that pump out so much talent. That Texas football is, I mean, that's what it is. I mean, Friday Night Lights. It's what I'm saying is Deion and this was smart of Deion. Deion's taking care. Deion Sanders is a good father.
Mhm.
Deion Sanders was very talented and understands that the NFL ownership is not for the players. Deion knows how it works, but Deion positioned Shedeur in high school to be a very big fish in a very small pond. They brought that team here to Mississippi to play one of our private schools, and they lost.
Mhm.
And while they were here, Deion interviewed for the Jackson State head coaching job, which he got, and he brought his kids, and they won a championship, and they were very successful.
They did not actually. They lost.
They were even in the year that they lost, they were there.
Yeah, they were there, but
What I'm saying is they'd still be here, but Jackson State screwed Deion out of his money. He was supposed to, they were lying about ticket sales because he was supposed to get a cut. And he can look in the stands and see, I hate that it happened because I've lived in Mississippi since 2010. I live 45 minutes from Jackson. You can't Google anything positive about Jackson, Mississippi. It's just not very, unfortunately,
yeah,
the state capital. But what I'm saying is when Deion Sanders came here, people were united. There was excitement for Jackson State. He was good for the community. Deion Sanders, I believe, he set expectations, he set rules, he set consequences, but he also genuinely is making a positive difference in young men's lives on how to handle themselves after football. I believe that about Deion Sanders. I also believe that Deion loves him some Deion. He needs to be this positive influence, but he wants you to watch me be this positive influence. He makes it a brand, but he's filthy rich. He don't sell potato chips for a living like me. I get it. I tell you all this to tell you that when he went to Colorado, Shedeur was exposed as being a medium-sized fish in a very big pond.
yeah.
And he's not a bad quarterback. He's not. I mean, he ain't Joe Montana drafted at 88.
Mhm.
But he may set fire. He may be good in the NFL.
Well, okay, let's go back a little bit. So, if last year several teams took quarterbacks, and this year maybe it didn't seem like that would be a huge need, why did Shedeur declare for the draft, do you think? And why would people say he's going to be in the top 10, top 20 if not that many teams needs a quarterback?
I think
Does that make sense?
I think it's the headache that came along. Is Deion his actual agent?
He was, but now I think I think him and his brother both signed with Drew Rosenhaus.
I knew that his brother made a statement yesterday. I mean, he even said that he's going to be part of the first meeting Shador has with the Browns, and he don't play second fiddle to nobody because they got another quarterback. That to me is a headache.
People don't want that headache.
I wouldn't want it because, guess who's going to be here on Sunday?
Mm-hmm.
Shador's going to be suited up. You're going to be over there unless Dave's right and then Deion positions himself. And I have zero respect for the owner of the Cleveland Browns.
Who is that?
Jimmy
is it?
Haslett.
Okay.
Jimmy Haslett. He used to own Pilot Truck Stops.
Oh, okay.
He used to get all he ever wanted was a football team. Anybody that ever worked for Pilot told me he'd come in, he'd review the stores. He'd say, "Hey, keep doing a good job. I need y'all to buy me a football team."
Oh,
And then he got a minority interest in the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he sold that when he was able to get the Cleveland Browns.
how long's he owned it? A while.
I don't think he's 10 years in yet.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
But it's been a shit show since he got there.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay. So here's another question. Again, going back just even a little bit further.
So he reached an agreement to buy the Browns in 2012.
Okay.
I thought
So
that's
13
longer ago than I
years.
thought.
Yeah.
So how does a person declare themselves for the draft, and kind of what is that process? Like, do you need, like, how does one do that? Can they come from any college
Yeah.
football? Okay. So
Correct me if
anybody,
I'm wrong, Dave. As long as they declare for the draft, but they don't hire an agent, they can
That
go
was
back.
the rule. Yes, they can go back.
They can go back.
Yeah.
You don't
But
hire the
usually-
agent. You don't hire the agent.
Usually they hire agents right on the spot because that's when they start getting paid. So,
Okay.
that's how these guys go. I mean, obviously it's a little different now because you can get money in college,
right?
which Shador Sanders is going to lose money now.
Yeah,
going
that's
to the
another thing
NFL.
that you might consider. That I don't know how there was some talk about his interviews,
Mm-hmm.
but let's take into consideration that this man is already going in as a multimillionaire. His first NFL contract is going to be less than what he already has,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and that could be a turnoff. It's kind of like if I was running a store and my best cashier won the lottery,
Mm-hmm.
she might as well go because she's not going to do anything I tell her to do.
Right.
I mean,
So do you have to wait till after the season's over to declare for the draft, or how does that? I mean, does it matter? I
I mean,
guess.
it doesn't
no,
matter.
you did before the playoffs were over there to declare.
But, I mean, they're pretty much, these guys know, and they're evaluated all the time. And the NFL teams have just hundreds and hundreds of scouts
right.
that go to all sorts of college football games.
Okay.
Because people get drafted that you've never heard of.
right.
So one of the best players we had an offensive lineman a few years back that went to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He
Mhm.
played for the College of Hobart.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
What? But
Yeah.
he was a third-round draft pick, played
Mhm.
8 years or so, was a starter every year, great player, and then he just retired because he didn't want to have any head injuries.
Right.
But he'd made his millions. So, but these guys go all over the country,
Okay.
and I mean, their main job is to watch football and to scout players that they think would work for them and the system that their team runs.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time it comes to, hey, I'm a junior, because here's the thing, you can't go to the NFL like you can the NBA.
Okay.
You used to be able to go to the NBA right out of high school.
Right.
Now you have to be 1 year removed from high school. So you have what's called one and done in college basketball,
Okay.
or they go to NBA G League or play overseas for a year or whatever. Then they can go to the NBA. The
Okay.
NFL has a 3-year rule.
Oh. Okay.
So you have to be 3 years removed from high school.
Okay.
But usually in football, the jump is so big from high school football to college football. And it's the same thing from college football to the NFL. The jump is so big. Usually, up until recent years, if you were a freshman in college football, you pretty much always redshirted anyway because you weren't going to see the field.
Mm-hmm.
So you usually had 4 years from the time you graduated high school, because the real good was to come out after their junior year when they've pretty much already redshirted their first. So they came in as a redshirt freshman following
Mhm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
So it gave them time to get, because people don't understand just how big and how fast NFL players are. It's a whole different world from college. And it's a whole different, and college is a whole different world from high school.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they say, like, well, you know, you think of the best college teams in the world, the Alabamas of yesteryear and the Georgias and the Florida States and the Floridas and the Miamis. If these guys played the Cleveland Browns, they'd get massacred. And people just don't understand that. They're like, oh, that team's just as good as no. You got to understand one thing. Everybody on your college team goes to college
Mm-hmm.
and is a college football player. Everybody on an NFL team is an NFL football player. Only certain numbers from colleges go to NFL.
Gotcha.
So it's just a whole different world. And so, you know, it used to be the same thing in the NFL. Like if you were a rookie, especially if you were a rookie quarterback,
Mm-hmm.
you weren't starting. You had to sit and wait a couple years to learn the system, learn the game,
Sure.
get reps when you could. But usually in year 2 or 3 is when you usually got your chance.
Okay.
So like Aaron Rodgers, one of the greatest quarterbacks in the league, he sat behind Brett Favre for a couple years before he ever saw the field.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just how it was. You didn't throw rookies into the fire in the NFL. But now the NFL is such a big, high dollar league that nobody has time. So coaches don't have time to develop players in the NFL. You are expected to win immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't, you see teams now fire coaches after 1, after 2, after 3 years. They used to get 6 or 7.
Yeah, those days are over.
And that's why, that's the one thing that I think is silly with the Shedeur Sanders thing, is it's such high dollar. Everything is. And these teams are all multi-billion-dollar franchises.
Mm-hmm.
If they thought bringing in Shedeur Sanders at number 1 or number 21 or number 51 or whatever was what was best for their franchise, they would have done it.
And case in
Gotcha.
point, let's talk about Caleb Williams last year.
Okay.
Wait,
Who
wait.
is that? And
Caleb
just so,
Williams is
yes.
the quarterback for the Chicago Bears.
He was the
Okay.
number 1 draft pick last
He
year.
played for that.
Okay.
He played for that bitch out there at USC.
Okay.
I don't like him. I don't like Caleb Williams either.
Why don't you like them? I'm just curious. Why don't you like Caleb
They left
Williams?
Oklahoma. They're
They
dead.
played at Oklahoma and left.
Oh, I got you.
They left Oklahoma. They're dead to me.
I got you. Okay.
So Oklahoma's coach left and went to USC and took Caleb Williams with him.
I got you. Okay.
Then that process
Fair,
estimated
fair.
Oklahoma's. But I mean, we could have won national championship without them, and they were dead to me. That's the sports fan in me. You leave my team, you're dead to me. Like, I just
So,
how I am. But
So sorry. I just.
So what I'm
I
saying
didn't know who
is,
that was, so
I
wasn't-
say that to say that he was going out of his way to make everybody know what a pain in the ass he was going to be
Mm.
when he got drafted. He was going to represent himself. There's a rule that they got to hire an agent. He said,
Mhm.
"Why would I have to? I'm a business major. Why should I have to give my money?" And I agree with that. By the way, I don't disagree, but I don't want to. I'm not coming in unless I own a piece of the team.
Mm.
Now, when you're coming out with these kind of headaches, I mean, when you believe your own hype so much that you don't realize that you can be such a big pain in the ass that I don't want to work with you.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a good chance the other 30-something teams don't want to work with you either. But guess what? If we don't hire you, there's somebody else we can get to play this game. Because there's a lot more Caleb Williams in the world than there are Tom Brady's.
Right. So he got picked number 1. He went to the Chicago Bears because I do know, like, is it the one? Okay, so you get the order of the draft is by
The worse you are, the higher you pick.
And then
But actually,
sometimes,
the Chicago Bears were not the worst the year before, but the Carolina Panthers were. But the Bears had traded picks for the Carolina Panthers prior to that. So they gave up a first round pick to Carolina. So Carolina just happened to be worse the next year. So instead of them having the first pick, it then went to the Bears.
okay, and I have
And
more,
they do
okay.
that because maybe I'll give you the first pick and you're going to give me more picks later in the rounds. And I don't have the need for the number 1 pick, but I do have several needs I can fill.
I gotcha.
I mean, there's a lot with salary caps and rookie contracts, and it's a whole science that they've got it set up.
Right.
But
I
But
feel
what's-
like I saw a lot more trades, like you all are talking about, like of the picks, like in the 3rd, 4th, 5th. Like I don't, I mean, that might have happened. I just didn't pay attention. Do you see that more towards the 3rd? I mean, the 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Is it
You see them
normal
all the
to-
time. Yeah.
So
it happens
in any
more.
rounds.
Yeah, it happens. It happens all the time. But
and I think nowadays they more of their really highly sought after positions are filled through free agency.
Is there a limit how many trade? Or I mean, I guess there's no limit to how many trades. Just whatever you
the
do.
Miami Dolphins, or no, the New Orleans Saints really wanted running back Ricky Williams. They traded everything
Okay.
for that 1 pick. Literally traded it. So they drafted Ricky Williams and had nothing else. And it did not work in their favor.
No, turns out Ricky wanted to get high more than he wanted to play football.
Yeah.
Oh.
He had a good career,
Yeah.
but they gave up too much. So you have to build your team through the
Right.
draft.
Sure.
And see, that's what the Buccaneers are known for. Is you look at the Buccaneers starting offense and defense, they have like 22 players. So you have 11 on offense, 11 on defense. I think like 18 or 19 came through the draft. And that's unheard of. But I mean, that's the thing now. The one thing they didn't get right was the quarterback. They drafted Jameis Winston, was supposed to be the quarterback of the future. And then Brady came available. So they let Winston go. Well, then Brady retired and they had to go after Baker Mayfield. So who they've now signed to a big contract. But Baker Mayfield had been on, the Bucs are his 4th team, but he's gotten it together. But so it just happens. But so last year you had picks 1, 2, 3, 8, 10, and 12 were all quarterbacks.
Okay.
So, and one of those, so you have Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels with the Washington Commanders, who was Rookie of the Year.
Right.
Drake May, New England Patriots, who didn't, I mean, he was one that sat for a large chunk of the year before they put him in. Then you had Michael Penix with the Falcons, who sat for about 12, 13 games before he went in. JJ McCarthy tore his ACL in preseason, so he missed the whole season.
Ooh.
And then you had Bo Nix with Denver Broncos, who got it together.
He actually had a good season.
Yeah, he had a decent season once it got going. It was started out slow, but the Broncos have a really good defense, so that really helped. But I mean, so there's 6 of the 30 teams that are not drafting a quarterback.
Gotcha.
But then you also have, you have, like I said earlier, Kansas City, they're not drafting a quarterback. Buffalo Bills, they're not drafting a high need quarterback.
Well, let's talk about it, Dave. Kansas City, they draft Shedeur Sanders. They're thinking the future. Don't know how much longer Patrick Mahomes has. I mean, he's got quite a bit left in the tank. But I'm just saying, you got Patrick Mahomes as your starter. You put Shedeur Sanders behind him. What do you have?
A problem.
Media freaking service. Every time he throws an interception, they're showing the camera on Shedeur.
Yeah, you have a problem.
And for better or for worse, you got Deion Sanders over there. He's stoking that flame.
My kid's better than Patrick Mahomes.
So you might
People
want to
don't
build
love that.
for the future. Jerry Jones might have thought, and Jerry Jones loves Deion. I've already got to hear this crap with Dak because Dak is Dak.
Right.
So you put Shador there, it's quarterback controversy every week.
Who
You
did
may not
De-
want to sign up for those headaches.
right? Who did Dion play for?
Well, he played for a lot of teams. He
Oh,
started
oh.
out
Falcons.
with the Falcons,
Okay.
and then he went
49ers.
he went to the 49ers, then the Cowboys. Then I know he ended up with the Ravens.
Okay.
So, I mean, he played, but Dion was great.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But Dion
Effectively shut down half of the field.
But Dion loves him some Dion.
Without question.
And loves him some kids. And it's a
Mhm.
media circus that billion-dollar organizations don't want a headache. Because if you're a headache, I mean, the NFL has proven that they will hire anybody that can play football.
Mm-hmm.
But
they
if
really
it
don't
becomes,
like people that understands their bullshit and calls them on their bullshit.
yeah. But if you create a media circus or anything like that,
Just a distraction.
no, there's too much going on. And I mean, there's already going to be issues in Cleveland
Well,
because
let's
like
talk
I
about
said before, like I said before, you have Deshaun Watson,
Mm-hmm.
who's probably not playing this year. Then they traded and got Kenny Pickett from Pitt.
Mm-hmm.
They also have Joe Flacco,
Mm-hmm.
and they drafted 2 quarterbacks in the draft. That's why the Shador Sanders pick made no sense, because they drafted Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd round out of
I think
Oregon.
that late they didn't have anything to lose.
And then Shador, yeah. But I mean, so what's going to happen is they're only going to keep 3 quarterbacks on the roster. Deshaun
And how many
Watson,
they have now? 5?
5.
I mean, you said 5. Okay.
Well, let me
But
ask
Deshaun
you.
Watson, they have to pay regardless.
Did he
He
hurt
has a
himself?
he's got a guaranteed contract, but he cannot play this year because he's injured.
Okay.
so
So,
he'll be
he's
out all
injured.
year.
He's good. Okay.
So of the 4 of Flacco, Pickett, Gabriel, and Sanders, one of the 4, and Flacco's projected to be the starter.
okay.
So out of Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, and Shador Sanders, one of them ain't making the team.
And those are all fairly new.
And
2 of
Dion's-
them they
and
just
Dion-
got.
I'll assure you that Dion's blowing rainbow smoke up Shador's ass that he ought to be the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns.
Well, they said it during they were on like TikTok or Instagram Live or something. And when it was coming around to Cleveland, he's like, wait a minute, Cleveland's got Joe Flacco. And he looked at Shador and says, Flacco, he's my age. Because Flacco's in his late 30s.
Old. Older.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm old.
But-
Listen to
but-
me. I'm old. Calling him old. He could be my son.
But Flacco's just there to hold down the fort because Cleveland put themselves in a bad situation with the contract that they gave Deshaun Watson.
That he gets paid regardless. Is that what you
Regardless.
mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so he's injured.
But
so
see, the
now-
problem is the NFL has what's called a salary cap.
Okay. Okay. Yes. Yes.
And because what's owed to him is guaranteed, they have to pay him regardless.
Right.
So they have to take a hit on the cap. So, and he may not ever play another down of football again with I mean, he hasn't finished a year in Cleveland yet with injuries, but he's also got the whole sexual assault shit
Mm.
looming over his head and everything that went on with that.
Yeah.
So he may be done, but
That just
Cleveland
goes to show
still
you what
has
a
to pay him.
rocket scientist Jimmy Haslam is.
Yeah, because he paid him. He signed this contract, and no matter what, you've got to pay him.
How many years
He's got some years left.
does he?
Let's look it up.
And they will probably end up giving him more money to restructure it so it doesn't hit him as hard every
Oh.
year.
So like, okay.
He signed a 5-year, $230 million guaranteed contract with a signing bonus of $44 million.
Mm.
So they still have him for 3 more years.
Oh my gosh.
Now, back to Shador.
Yes.
Let me ask you, in the NFL's counterpart professional league, the NBA, do you feel like LeBron James has done his son Bronny a disservice?
By what? Like, what do you mean? Done him a disservice by being as
Getting the
vocal
Lakers
about?
getting the Lakers to sign him and expose how piss poor he is at basketball at that level.
Mm.
Now I think it's great you got your kid. And in fairness, if they wouldn't have signed him, I bet you LeBron took less money to make more room for Bronny to get his money. What I'm saying is you got a dad that thinks that his son's the greatest thing since sliced bread, and he's not. And you got him out there on a high-profile team that only let him play for a month before they sent him to a developmental league. I mean, I think the kid averages 2 points a game.
Something like that.
I mean, it's low. But I don't, just because you want to play basketball with your son, your super ego, I guarantee you Michael Jordan wouldn't have never put his kid out on the court with him.
No,
Michael Jordan's
all about winning. That's it.
So, I mean, he didn't do Bronny. Bronny probably gets backlash that he wouldn't have got if he'd have just gone into the league and played somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
If he'd have just done it right.
Bronny should have stayed in college and gone up the ranks, because he definitely is not worth a sec. I mean, there's, the NBA draft's a lot smaller than the NFL draft.
I think that Deion
worth a 55th pick in the NBA draft.
Deion, while his intentions are good, is probably doing his son a disservice.
One of the things I was thinking of, I don't know, does baseball do something similar to this? Like, how does someone become a part of a baseball team?
Baseball draft is
they can get you. They can draft you out
huge.
of high school.
So
Okay.
they can draft you out of high school, but you can still play in college in baseball.
Oh, okay.
So a lot of college players you see, they've already
You
been
dibs
drafted.
them early.
Yeah.
Like you're
Okay.
picking off phenoms.
Yeah.
Okay.
But-
okay.
Baseball's different because of the minor
love
league
this.
system.
Okay. Okay. Well, I was
Quarterback.
thinking,
I
knew-
couldn't have said it better myself. I will be stealing that this week, sir. Thank you.
Yeah,
I
that's
knew
great.
that, like you said, the NBA does a draft and, of course, the NFL. But I was sitting there like, I don't know if I've ever heard of how baseball does it. So, okay. So, once you declare for the draft, you all were talking about Dave Pondwater. You mentioned earlier about his interviews, Shador's interviews. So, do you go, like, do the different teams, they hold interviews? Like, so if I was a football player and I was interested in certain teams, do I get invited to go there? Like,
I
so they
wouldn't
can
have
see
known
me,
that they
or how does
interviewed
that
players.
Do you
I
know?
I knew
it was
that.
news to me that they conducted an interview.
Yeah, they do everything. I mean, they do all kinds of background checks and
Is that
interviews.
something that I would get invited to, or
And
like
yes.
they'd have to invite me to it? I mean,
Yes.
like, it's,
And
so
the
we
word
would
on the street
know-
is Shador Sanders didn't take a lot of the interviews. I mean, it was like it was beneath him.
I gotcha.
And they said one time there was one thing that said he had headphones on the whole time, like down around his neck, but music blaring the whole time. And I mean, because they want you to break down film. They're going to pull out. See, what somebody like you, Amy, might not understand is, I
no,
played football, and I mean, we had to watch film in high school.
right,
But
right.
you basically watch all kinds of film for the team that you're playing next. You have to break that, because you have to know, okay, when you're the quarterback and you're looking at the defense, and then when they're running certain types of defenses, you have to be able to read what you think they're going to be doing. It's not just you go out and draw up plays on your hand and throw the football. That's just, I mean, that's how you play it as a kid in the backyard.
Right.
But in real football, I mean, there's logic, and there's an explanation as to why the plays are called for every single play.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to, in college, one thing that you're seeing in college is, and this was the knock on Marcus Mariota coming out of college.
And who is that? I'm sorry.
He was a big time quarterback. He was drafted number 2 a few years back in 14. But he was drafted number 2. But the knock on him was he didn't know how to read defenses.
Mm.
So for the offense that he played under at Oregon is a up-tempo offense,
Mhm.
where they try to run as many plays as they can, as fast as they can, to get the defense tired. Well, you don't really do that in the NFL. It's different. So he didn't have to read defenses in college,
Mm.
because his coaches did from the sideline, and they would hold up poster boards of different pitchers or whatever, and he knew which pitcher he was supposed to be for the next play. And I mean, it was literally as soon as you're tackled, they're running to the line. He's looking over there and he's ready to snap the ball as soon as possible, because that way you don't let the defense get a chance to catch their breath. You don't let the defense get a chance to substitute anybody in and off the field or anything like that. So when you have to know how to read what the defense is doing in the NFL, because if there's one thing that you do in the NFL as a coach, you watch film like it's no other. So the coaches on each side are trying to trick and outmaneuver the coaches on the other side by, they have different schemes and the way they do blitzes, and they're picking up certain types of packages. And, you have a run defense, you have pass defense. There's all kinds of different plays. And I mean, and you're talking hundreds. And not only that, but as a player, you have to know
Right.
what wide right, 44, scream, echo. You have to know what that means, because that's what's coming in. And it used to be all hand signals. And now, and the way we did it, growing up as a kid and stuff, you had a kid on the sideline who the coach would tell the play to. He'd run in and tell the quarterback. The quarterback would say it in the huddle. They'd go out and they'd snap the ball. And then a kid would run off, and then another kid would run in with the next play. And then, technology advanced. So now they all have headsets. So the quarterbacks have a headset, and a linebacker on defense has a headset. So one player on each side has a headset. So it's all called in. So like a lot of times you see coaches, but it's so now if you go watch a football game, the coach with the headset on is calling plays, and they're calling plays just like this.
Right.
This is how they're calling, because they don't want the other team even reading their lips.
Right.
And see, Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots got in trouble for this, for filming other teams' sidelines.
Oh.
And using that with their footage and, going back and forth and learning the plays and the calls from the other teams. But I mean, that's one reason why you see coaches calling, every coach that calls plays calls them like this. But see, what's different now is a lot of head coaches are now also the offensive coordinator. So they call the plays. Back in the day, the head coach was just the head coach. You had an offensive coordinator, you have a defense coordinator, all that. That's who calls your plays. But I mean, it's a very strategic, and they have to really think about what they're doing, and they watch film. And I mean, they watch all kinds of film as to, how many times this season in the last 8 games that they've played, when they've been inside their own 40-yard line and it's 2nd and 2, what type of play are they running the most? And it's stuff like that. And they have to remember all that through all this. So that's why all the studying is done and all the film breakdown. So it's expected your linebackers have to be able to read the offense, just like the quarterback on the offense has to be able to read the defense, because it's just a strategic game that goes back and forth between everybody. And if you don't take anything serious, like an interview where they go, they talk about, draw me your favorite play. Let me see your favorite play from college. What did you see? Look at this game right here. You made this throw here. Why did you make that throw when you had this? Or, and these guys have to break that down for them, because if you're going to be investing millions upon millions of dollars on these players, you want to know that they have a head for the game.
Right. No, that makes sense. Can you, and I don't even know if this would ever be like, could you turn down, like if someone drafted you, could you turn it down, or would you do that? I know that sounds kind of stupid.
It has happened.
It has.
But,
okay.
But when they draft you, they own the rights to you.
Yeah.
So
okay. You're not going to go any. You're going to.
You're not going anywhere else.
So that's part of like
the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Up, right?
One of the greatest football players of all time got pissed off with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Bo Jackson went to Auburn, got pissed off with the Buccaneers because they leaked out that they'd had a meeting with Bo Jackson, and he wasn't able to play. He was no longer eligible to play in their bowl game or something like that. And he said, if they draft me, I will not play for them.
Okay.
The Buccaneers basically said, fuck that. We're drafting Bo Jackson. He's the best player for whatever. Bo Jackson went and played baseball instead.
And Deion Sanders is not the first overbearing father.
No,
because Archie
Manning did the same shit.
Archie told the San Diego Chargers not to draft Eli.
Yeah, but
He ain't
San Diego
coming there.
Chargers drafted Eli, but worked up a deal to trade him to the Giants.
Yeah, he was because they said we're not playing there.
Yeah, but
Oh,
and it happened before too in the 80s. John
Hmm.
Elway said that
Oh.
if the Indianapolis Colts draft me, I will not play for them
how come he didn't like them? Do you
because they
know?
were a losing or they were a terrible organization.
Oh,
Just back
Yeah,
up,
I
it
mean,
was-
if you're
Oh,
the
I
best,
gotcha.
I mean, if you're the best player that coming out of the draft, you're going to the worst team in the league.
sure.
yeah.
So,
Okay.
Oscar is asking what our opinion on the draft in Houston is, Dave.
I couldn't even tell you who they drafted off the top of my head. Let me look.
I can tell you, they filled nine positions. They picked with the 34th pick in the second round. We had Jaden Higgins, wide receiver from Iowa State, and with the 48th pick, Arante Ursary, offensive tackle from Minnesota. So we, in the second round, we've got a wide receiver and an offensive tackle. Then in the third round, they took Jalen Knoll, a wide receiver from Iowa. Jalen Smith. Got a lot of Jalen's.
Houston got an A- on NFL.com for their draft.
Oh,
Oh, let's see.
They just
They
need a
drafted-
guard. They need
they
a guard
drafted-
to protect CJ. And then that I think that I think that they tried to find value in the draft. I think they might have done the draft right.
And see, and that's what a lot of us Tampa Bay Buccaneers fans are scratching our head at. Tampa Bay Buccaneers had one of the best offenses in the NFL last year. They had one of the worst defenses in the NFL. They drafted a wide receiver with their first pick at number 19. Tampa has two of the greatest wide receivers
mm-hmm.
in the NFL. Now, granted, one of them got injured last year and missed half the season, but he re-signed a huge contract. He's back. So Mike Evans and Chris Godwin were drafted Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they will play their entire career as Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They've both re-signed and are good to go. The Bucs drafted 3 wide receivers this year.
I love how the guy asked about Houston and Dave's talking about the Bucks.
but see, that's the thing. I don't follow Houston.
Yeah, I
the
don't
way
either.
follow the Bucks. I know CJ Stroud, great quarterback. I know that he had a very good rookie season with the Houston Texans, but he had a slump last year. Houston was not as good last year as they were the year prior, and Stroud wasn't as good. I do know that Houston needed some help on the offensive line, and I think their wide receivers, they needed to do so. So that's, I mean, that'd be,
They
didn't
got
even
two
have
of them
a-
in the
see,
draft.
Houston didn't have a first round draft pick.
Yeah.
They gave it up, like they traded.
They gave it
probably?
up last year.
Okay.
I mean, I've always been a Cowboy fan, and I'm kind
Mm-hmm.
of like we've had a 58-year relationship, and we're on a timeout right now. You know, Jerry Jones. I'm not gonna. You know, you've heard me rant about Jerry Jones. It just, as long as Jerry's there, I'm having a hard time because I'm old enough to remember when we used to be a winning team and we won Super Bowls. I mean, I know what it feels like to see my team win 5 Super Bowls.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but it's been a long time.
Right.
It's been 30 plus years.
Yeah.
What? Okay. So the draft, they move it around apparently because this one was at Green Bay. Did they kind
So
of?
they didn't used to. It used to always
Oh.
be in New York.
The Texans traded with New York and the Giants traded for Dart.
Okay, there you go.
Oh, okay. But they've started kind of moving around to different cities, or I guess football franchises. The draft now.
Yeah. So now they're, instead of always being in New York, because they were in
Yeah.
Chicago a couple years ago. In 2020, they did it from home
Right.
because of COVID.
Right.
I mean,
Then
they're
they,
making
they
it a
did it in
big deal,
Chicago
like
a couple years ago. They did it. So I'll tell you this right here.
Seth Rollins that came out and made Chicago's pick. He came out with the Chicago
Bears
wrestling
belt.
belt and,
Yep. But
and he
there
did a
were,
whole thing about Green Bay and
for night 1 of the NFL draft this year, 205,000 people in Green Bay.
They've made it a happening.
Yeah. So, and that drew, and the first round drew 13.6 million viewers. And that beat the NBA games combined. That shows you who's king
Mm-hmm.
in America. And the highest rated, it was the second highest rated draft of all time. The highest rated draft of all time, 15.5 million in
Oscar's-
2020 when there was nothing else to do.
Oscar, that's watching and asking questions, then he's the Houston fan. He said that I believe Houston has the potential to win your Super Bowl. Does that? Where are you from? Where are you from, Oscar? Because you say the way you say your Super Bowl makes me think that you may live somewhere other than the United States.
How do they decide who's going to get to be in the green room? You know, like if you think you're going to be a first round pick,
Usually it's the people that they think are going to be first round picks. They actually had the longest ever green room stay this year. Somebody that was invited to the green room
mm-hmm.
wasn't selected until the 4th round.
Really?
But usually the people are there struggling because they're still there and they're on pick 20. And I mean,
Right.
But it used to always be they would go. But
Right.
now so many of them stay home and have their own draft parties or whatever, kind of like what Shedeur Sanders did. And these guys, they don't go. But see, like, I really like what Cam Ward was the number 1 overall pick,
Mm-hmm.
went to the Tennessee Titans. And even though he played his last year in college with Miami Hurricanes, who I despise, I mean, he's a hell of a football player. And I dare question anybody that says Shedeur Sanders is better than Cam Ward, because I sure as shit didn't see it.
No,
But here's what's crazy. See, here's why a lot of rankings and things don't matter. Coming out of high school, Cam Ward was a 0-star recruit. Became the number 1 draft pick.
Mm-hmm.
Coming out of high school, Baker Mayfield was a nothing. Number 1 pick. The number 1 quarterback coming out of high school, DJ Uiagalelei, went to Clemson, then transferred to Oregon State, then transferred to Florida State. The number 1 pick coming out of high school the same year as Cam Ward, 5-star quarterback, not drafted.
Mm.
It's all about learning when you get to the next level, and Cam Ward took it and ran with it.
Mm-hmm.
They had a thing. There was a football camp somewhere. Shedeur Sanders was there with Cam Ward, and Shedeur Sanders is telling him, "What do you do? Do you rap? Do you do this?" Cam Ward goes, "No, I play football. I play football. I play football. That's all I do. I want to be a football. I don't want to be a rapper. I want to be a football player."
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference between Cam Ward and being selected number 1 overall and Shedeur Sanders being selected 144th.
Mm-hmm.
Shedeur Sanders has all this outside influence in his world. And I wholeheartedly believe that there were quarterbacks picked in this draft that there's no way I would have picked them over Shedeur Sanders. And not saying that no way I would say they're better than Shedeur Sanders.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe that there was collusion in the NFL to not pick Shedeur Sanders.
I think he rubbed enough people the wrong way.
I think that he did it to himself. I don't believe in this day and age that they're calling and saying, "Hey, screw this kid. Let's."
Yeah. There's too much money involved.
But I do think that he did it to himself. I think that's
Mhm.
I think that his dad is equal parts his dad and him.
Because here's the thing, is he going to be a football player or is he going to be a celebrity?
Mm-hmm.
Because NFL teams, they want football players.
And here's the
Mhm.
thing with your NIL, with the guys making NIL money, they're celebrities.
Yes.
Those kids are celebrities because they got to sing for their supper at some point. They're getting to push products. They're getting to be influencers. They're getting to do things, and so you're going to see a shift now. And I'm for these kids getting paid. I'm for them getting paid, because if you went and got your senior year and got hurt in a bowl game, it killed your value in the NFL. You were going to lose millions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I'm not anti-paying football players. But yeah, Deion's not doing them any favors.
No, I don't think so either.
And the hell of it is I think that Deion, in his heart of heart, thinks he's doing the right thing for his son.
Yeah, I do too. But it's just it's not.
And I do think, as a whole, Deion Sanders is a positive influence in all the lives that he touches as a coach.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're going to be at this level,
I love Coach Prime. And
if you're going to
nobody
be
was sadder to see him leave Jackson State than I was.
But if you're going to be at this level, your life has to be about football.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Not about starting rap labels or starring in movies or anything like that.
and he's got plenty of time.
These
He's got
days are
plenty of
over.
time because
The days are over where football players become professional wrestlers in the offseason to help supplement their income and things like that. That ain't happening.
in the shelf life of an NFL quarterback, what?
Ain't long.
If you get 10 years out of him, you've done something.
Yeah.
So he's
it's
still
not
going to be a
long.
very young man. Take care of your football, establish your celebrity, and then parlay that into something else after football. But now they're going in. They've already got the stars and the moon, so it's a different attitude in the NFL now, and
Yeah.
none of those NFL teams like being told what to do.
No.
Sure.
That's the whole thing is you don't tell billionaires what to do. And I read an article one time, and I've talked about this on the Filter Free podcast back when we did that show before we became Drunken Pop. I read an article one time, a guy wrote that said he got invited to an NFL meeting where all the owners were. And he said it was the most petty, bullshit high school girl-like environment he'd ever been in. Because when you're a billionaire, you surround yourself with yes men, people who are looking up to you, and you tell everybody what you want. Nobody questions you because nobody can, because you're a billionaire. And these billionaires are all surrounded by yes men, and they all hate the other billionaires who have more money than them. And he said it was the most childlike thing he'd ever been, with all these huge multi-billionaires that own all these corporations and all these companies and have all this money. And he said they're like children.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's just, how can you tell someone who has everything in the world how to do something better? You can't. And if you come to a meeting and think that you're above anything in that meeting, they're not going to give two shits about you. And you have to understand, these NFL coaches don't play.
Mm-hmm.
The meanest man I ever met in my life was my high school football coach. And that was high school.
Mm-hmm.
NFL coaches don't make as much as the players, but they're damn sure going to get everything out of those players that they can, because that's how they get paid.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're going to be an issue and somebody that they can't trust to put on the field at a moment's notice, they ain't putting you on their team.
I'm not going
Right.
to lose my job because you won't do yours.
Right.
If they come off as not being coachable. And I guess, like you
Look
said.
at Jimmy Johnson back in the day. You had a player fall asleep in a meeting and he fired him. I mean, he had a kid out there trying to suck on an asthma inhaler. He said, asthma field's over there.
Yeah.
I mean, just win, baby. Oscar asked who the top 5 candidates going to Super Bowl was, and the dude said the Cowboys. The Cowboys aren't going to go to Super Bowl, man.
Well, you have to think top 5 candidates. You have to think.
I hope you're right, though. I really do hope you're right.
I don't. You have to think Philadelphia, Baltimore, Kansas City, Buffalo. And I would have to say, I mean, San Francisco is Purdy healthy. San Francisco has been really good the last couple of years. Last year they fell off, but they had injuries galore. You have to think your top 5 teams are going to be in no particular order: San Francisco, Baltimore, Kansas City, Philadelphia, Buffalo. And there's always, I mean, and hell,
I think Detroit.
Detroit.
I think got to put Detroit in there.
Yeah, and then throw in Detroit. So, and I mean, Washington ain't getting any easier for people either.
Who do you all think did the best in the draft? Like getting the positions that they needed, and who? I think you said somebody got an A-. The Texans.
I mean, I'd have to really dig in, Amy.
Mm.
But how can you not be impressed with? How can you not be impressed with Houston's draft, though? Look how many positions and needs they feel. Like I said, they just got to get somebody that's gonna guard, get a guard for CJ.
Mm-hmm.
My biggest question is what's Pittsburgh going to do if Aaron Rodgers doesn't come play football in Pittsburgh? They have Mason Rudolph as their starter,
Mm-hmm.
and they drafted Will Howard in the 6th round.
Mm.
What are they going to do? They need a quarterback, and they need a quarterback of the future. Apparently, they did not see Shedeur Sanders as a quarterback of the future because I thought that's where he was going, Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm. And he could have gone first round, right? Because they needed.
This could be the play right here. Where'd it go? Oh, lost it. Sorry. This could be the play. Pitt will call Atlanta for Cousins and see if New York cuts Winston. So that could be it. Because you have Jameis Winston out there and you have Kirk Cousins. One of them will go somewhere.
Okay.
Like Seattle
but
drafted.
the thing with Atlanta is the contract they gave Cousins is going to be a detriment because it's huge.
Mm. What is this? Cut Winston during TC. What is TC?
Training camp.
Oh, okay. Duh. Okay. That makes sense.
So, yeah.
I'll be interested to see how Dart plays. My wife likes Dart because
Dart won't play this year.
Yeah.
So unless they're really bad and they fire Brian Daboll, I mean, he's already said Russell Wilson's the starter. So you would have to think that, Winston's going to be on the chopping block. Unless anything happens to, I wouldn't say training camp, but sometime early preseason, Winston's getting traded somewhere. Or he gets cut and Winston can go make millions working at Barstool or wherever else because he's funny as shit.
Yeah. Seattle had a really good draft.
Seattle got Jalen Milroe. But Jalen Milroe does nothing for me. But the Saints with Tyler Shue, I don't know if that's going to work out. I mean, I definitely am not taking him over Shedeur Sanders. But I don't know. I mean, I don't get paid. Let's see. We'll do a quick rundown of all the teams in the NFL, and I'll give you their grade, Amy. Here we go.
Okay.
Arizona Cardinals, A-. Atlanta Falcons, B-. Baltimore Ravens, A. That's scary. The Baltimore Ravens were really good last year. Buffalo Bills, B+.
Who's giving you these grades?
This is from NFL.com.
Okay.
Carolina Panthers, B-. Chicago Bears, B+. Chicago Bears drafted Colston Loveland as the number 1 tight end when they just gave Kmet a big $50 million contract, and they had Tyler Warren from Penn State sitting there. Don't know if I get that one. All right, so Chicago Bears, let's see. Cincinnati Bengals, B-. They need a lot of help on defense. They drafted an edge and 2 linebackers, so we'll see. Need a lot of help on defense. Cleveland Browns, B+. Dallas Cowboys, A-. Denver Broncos, B+.
Who'd the Cowboys get?
Dallas Cowboys drafted offensive guard Tyler Booker from Alabama, an edge from Boston College, Donovan Ezekarakarou, cornerback Siobhan Revel from East Carolina, running back Jaden Blue, linebacker Shamar James, offensive tackle Ajani Cornelius, defensive tackle Jay Toya, another running back in Phil Maffa. He won't make the team, defensive tackle Tommy Aking Besodi. So
So they got some help on the line.
Yep. Denver Broncos, B+. Detroit Lions, B. Green Bay Packers, A-. They need a lot of help. Houston Texans, A-. Colts, A. I could have seen Shedeur Sanders going to the Colts as well, but they ended up going with Riley Leonard from Notre Dame in the 6th round. Jacksonville Jaguars, A-. They made the big trade up in the 1st round. They traded up to get the number 2 pick to take Travis Hunter.
Okay.
But so essentially they gave up their 1st round this year. Like, so they were like number 4. They moved up to number 2. But they gave up their 1st round pick for next year. So
Okay.
Cleveland now has that pick next year. So Cleveland will have 2 1st round picks next year.
I gotcha.
Kansas City, A-. I'm ready for them to fall off. I hate them. Las Vegas Raiders, A. Los Angeles Chargers, A-. Los Angeles Rams, B+. Miami Dolphins, B+. They need a quarterback in the worst of ways. They went with Quinn Ewers out of Texas in round 7.
Okay. I do know who that is.
That
He
might
cost
be a
him-
good pick for them.
He cost himself, what'd they say? Quinn Ewers had an offer of like $8 million to go play somewhere this year outside
Yeah.
of Texas, and he went pro instead.
That's
His rookie contract's going to be worth $1 million. Minnesota Vikings, B. New England Patriots, B+. New Orleans Saints, B-. New York Giants, A.
that might work out for Quinn Ewers in the long run, though.
It may, because I mean, Tua is one head injury away from never taking.
I
another
mean,
snap.
the dude's talking about don't sleep on the Cowboys. Jerry actually made football moves to retool the D side, and now has a lot of depth. If Dak can stay healthy, if is the thing, because he ain't stayed healthy in a long time.
No,
And,
he's like Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson hadn't finished a year in 4 seasons.
and God, I love Tua, man. I love Tua. I love him, and he's not. I worry about him because he's taking so many head injuries,
Yeah. He's one head injury away from never playing again.
and but so Quinn may have done the right thing going there.
New York Jets, B+. This one's scary. Philadelphia Eagles, A-. They did lose some on defense, but they went with a quarterback in the 6th round, Kyle McCord out of Syracuse. He also played at Ohio State at one point in time.
Mm.
But, I mean, he's not going in for – let's see. Pittsburgh, A. San Francisco, B+. San Francisco had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 draft picks.
Goodness.
Not bad. Seattle Seahawks, A-. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, B+. Titans, A. They really need a quarterback. They drafted one in the 1st round just a couple years ago, and it did not work out at all. Washington, B. Washington only had 5 draft picks. I think they moved up a lot last year to get Jaden Daniels. So there you have it. There's your grades.
Hey, I think Seattle and Houston, I think, were the belle of the ball this year.
We'll see. I mean,
In the draft.
it's so exciting to talk about and for these things to get started. And one of my favorite shows at the start of every football season, Hard Knocks on HBO. Amy, if you want to learn about football,
Yes.
watch Hard Knocks.
Okay.
They take one team every year and they follow that team and do a documentary style breakdown of the whole preseason. And you go through and you see the coaches talking about things and you see them cutting players and the whole practice and you see them play in their preseason games. And it's only like 5 weeks long on Sunday nights. One of the greatest shows to watch, Hard Knocks on HBO. You will learn a lot about how a football organization is ran.
That sounds good.
I mean, the draft is just they're picking potential.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, if it's going to translate from the college game to the professional game, free agency, you kind of know what you're getting.
Yes, I agree, dude. Hard Knocks offseason was awesome last year, and you could tell the Giants were a complete disaster. And the fact that they did not fire their GM makes me really scratch my head. You just have to know he and Dable are, I mean, if they don't win 9 games this year, they're done.
Hmm.
Darren Staley, I love you so much. But I'm gonna tell you, the NFL is a trendsetter. They've adopted the sports entertainment mindset. They've made the draft is a happening. They do the NFL honors. They do these hard knock shows behind the scenes. Look at WWE.
Mm-hmm.
WrestleMania was like the Super Bowl, all day long coverage. Now they're doing the behind the scenes documentaries, like back in the writer's room. What I'm saying is you can see a lot of correlations. And the NFL is a trendsetter, and the numbers are a multiple of everybody else.
Definitely.
And it's not even the best football. It's not even the best football product on television.
Well, I so appreciate y'all letting me ask my questions because, yes,
Yep.
I'm a novice at best, but I love watching it because I tell you what, my favorite thing about it is watching these young men get that call and just the emotions in their voice. That's something they've worked for so hard and they get the call. So I love when they do those throughout, the reels and stuff that come out because I really do like watching that. But I like learning kind of the other stuff about what's going on behind the scenes. I'm going to jump. I was going to say I'm going to jump off because I've got a cold, so I'm going to take some medicine.
I think this is a good idea during the NFL season.
Mm-hmm.
Is that we have a show that we teach Amy football.
That's
where Amy
fine.
just comes on and asks questions
You come on and ask questions.
Yeah, and maybe we'll have
Yeah.
other guests that don't know it because I really enjoyed you doing this.
Yeah,
Amy.
when you said
Yeah.
you wanted to come in, if we were going to do a draft style show, which we had already talked about doing, and you said I'd like to come in and take part of this and ask some questions, my eyes lit up like this is awesome. There's one thing as a father
Hey.
of girls, all I want them to do is sit there and watch football with me and learn the game. Because my wife can't believe it because I've played football and I've watched so much football and I've studied so much football, haven't played it because I played it in Florida, and Florida's another big football state.
Yeah.
We will be watching football games and I will literally tell my wife what play is getting ready to be ran. And she can't, you can ask her, Jandy can't, how the hell do you know that? And I will literally tell her, look, you see this right here? This is what getting ready to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, and look at this defense right here. You see that defender right there? He's going to come. And it blows her mind.
Well, when we decided to start our show, I said the reason I was asking Amy to do it is because Amy asked good questions.
Yeah.
Well, somebody's got to.
Well, you know what? You did say something. I've never heard of an edge position. What is that? I saw two people.
An edge is on the end. An edge is on the end of the line on defense. And
do they have that in college?
Yeah, they're the rushers. They're the ones that when you're really sending a blitz. So you have, depending on what kind of defense you run, if you run a 4-3, you run a 3-4. You're talking about 4-3. You have 4 on the line, 3 linebackers, or 3-4. You have 3 on the line, 4 linebackers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can run a 5-2. You can. It's all sorts different. But an edge is going to be on the ends, and they're the ones coming around the edge.
Right.
So, and they're usually your defense. You have your defensive tackles. They're bigger guys. They're up there to stuff the run and to block the line. Get in, and so there's nowhere for anybody to run or whatever. And your edge rushers are coming around the edge.
Okay.
And I mean, also, but see, they have to be strong, powerful men. And on defense, your big money players on defense, edge rushers.
I guess I never.
And in that case, you probably need a really good fullback. You need a really good fullback to cut them off. They don't have
fullbacks anymore.
Oh, they don't?
No, they don't have fullbacks anymore.
Oh, okay. See, I learned something else too. All right, guys. I appreciate it. Now y'all can really talk now that y'all answered all my questions. Y'all can really get into the talking and stuff about it.
Well,
but
I think we kind of nailed it. We're at an hour 9.
Yeah.
We can always do this again another night this week. If there's anything else anybody wants, I got a lot of, summer's just around the corner. Free time's going to be opening up during the weeks because school is ending.
Right. I don't want to rush y'all.
We can do a lot. No, it's 8:47. I still got to put kids to bed. We're good.
I'm on vacation this week.
So we are all good. Amy, thank you for joining us. Dave, pleasure as always.
Hey, and thank you to the guys in the chat, the dude, Darren
Yeah.
Staley,
When we do
Oscar,
these, everything's going to start being going
Brandon,
live,
thank y'all.
so we can have you guys in the chat.
We
You
appreciate
need a
y'all
good-
hopping in with us.
You need a good Darren Staley out there to give us the wisecracks, and I mean, we like answering the questions like from the dude and Oscar, and I mean, we want that. Brandon Hollum, thanks for joining
and
us,
if
man.
you
We
haven't
really appreciate it.
subscribed, click that subscribe button.
Yeah,
if
hit
you
the
don't mind. We
subscribe button
appreciate it.
and get notifications when we're going live, because we're going to start going live a lot.
Yes,
And we're going to talk about it's 2 shows, 1 cup, Ram Network. We're going to be talking about a lot more than just wrestling. Sports and entertainment is the name of the game, and we're going to be talking about all the big stuff that comes out.
I'll just keep jotting notes down.
Oh, I can't wait. It's superhero season at the movies. We're going to do that too.
That sounds good.
I'm just ready for Fantastic Four to come out.
Oh, yeah. All right. Take us home, Dave.
That's it. I'm at Dave in the RC on Twitter. Follow me. We got Pondwater Dave at Ref Super Dave PWD, and the First Lady of the Arn Anderson Fan Club, Amy at Amy RD_24. Thank you so much for joining us and asking your questions, guys. We'll see you. I'm pretty sure we're going live tomorrow with something. So see you then.
Bye-bye.